Uh, Thank you very much for inviting me here for a talk. What I'll do, I'll stand over here and present. That way I will not be coming in front of my slides. Um, Now I want to introduce this particular research to you, a topic which is one of the most hot topics, especially in our region, as in line with the 2030 vision of not only Bahrain or Qatar or Kuwait, but in entire GCC. Obesity is basically the epidemic which has come at a global level and has hit as a core, because obesity is the reason why majority of our population is suffering with cancer, heart attack, etc., number of chronic diseases. Now, when you talk about those chronic diseases, stress and other factors play a major role, including environments. But obesity is one of the core formulas that need to be tackled in order to tackle all of the other retrospective issues that are coming up in the perspective of healthcare. Now, healthcare is a topic which is not only a research-oriented, but also a very political topic. So this particular topic has become of high agenda, especially in research, not only in this part of the world, but globally speaking. But the fact that we are here, we need to look at how we are going to be able to narrow our challenges, our solutions to our problems in our communities. So start from here, from local to go global. Now, in this research, I'm going to look at and give you an idea of what's the introduction, which I actually started now, pertaining to what is going to be the literature review, what literature really says, so that you will understand it's not my opinions, but opinions that are research-led in their context of obesity. Also, obesity has been tackled in research from various perspectives, and the fact that what contribution to knowledge that I'm giving in this particular conference is the first point over here, which is which is mobile commerce. Now, this presentation of mine is an extension of the presentation which was given at the 5th Research Forum held just a few days back at Ahlia University. Now, earlier, I already mentioned that there is a holistic approach that needs to be looked at. From that holistic model, which was published in a journal article and presented in Prague, now that holistic model was looking at different perspectives that need to be tackled. Now, quality of life, mobile commerce, how mobile commerce is going to help, how social networks are going to play a role in tackling obesity. Now, in this conference, what I really want to do is look at where my research is going next from the perspective of mobile commerce. Why mobile commerce? Because when you're going to say that you're going to give a contribution to knowledge, your knowledge needs to have theoretical as well as practical implications. Now, theoretical implications, everybody says in research, so and so are theoretical implications. Okay, but practical implications are what that make, for example, an impact to a particular society, especially if you want later to go for getting research grants. So you have to look at how practically you're going to make a difference. So my proposed solution later on is going to be looking at how practically you're going to be able to solve obesity from the perspective of mobile commerce. Now, when you look at mobile commerce means that you're going to be monitoring your obesity, monitoring your overweight, monitoring your overweight from the perspective of how you are intaking food, how many times you are taking food. Now, obesity, to tackle obesity, that doesn't mean that you're going to eat less. As a matter of fact, current research states you should eat more portions, however, lesser quantity and better quality of food. The question is, how do you do that? How do you monitor? Just to let you know, since we have a small time frame for this presentation, what I want you to understand is, if you're going to look at tools that are out there, those tools are kind of like haphazardly trying to tackle obesity for the sake of saying, yes, we are tackling obesity, but they're not really tackling obesity. Why? Every time you're going to look at mobile commerce tools, in other words, apps on your cell phone, they're going to be tackling obesity from the perspective of BMI, that is body mass index. However, there are so many other forms of measuring obesity, but research shies away from using those forms of measures, like, for example, total body fat, waist circumference, waist to hip ratio, or also, for example, sometimes you will need to do ultrasound checks using equipment that you will find only in hospitals, but of course your insurance plays a heavy role in that. So research just shies away from that. Why? Because in order to do certain empirical tests using those tools means that you will have to get, for example, grants that are going to be much more than what you're thinking of anticipating versus your short cross-sectional research. And this, of course, asks you for longitudinal research versus cross-sectional research. Now, my research, what it's looking at is how we are going to tackle these applications that are out there. We have a lot of application on cell phones. However, those applications, if they are measured from the 13 evidence-based indicators, and now you will see those indicators, some highlighted in green, others in orange or yellow, and some of them in black. The green ones are, for example, tackled by most of the applications because they're very quick to tackle. The ones in yellow are the ones where some of the applications are tackling. However, the way they tackle them is they're just there for the sake of getting more stars on the app and saying, okay, we have them, but there is no efficiency or there's no adoption rate of those applications because user interfaces are not user-friendly. However, if you will look, there are a number of indicators over there that are actually in black, meaning that they are still ignored by majority of the mobile applications, meaning that even though you have a lot of mobile applications tackling obesity, those applications are basically at less than infant stage of their not only development, not only adoption, but even use per se. So there is a major issue, and that's a major research gap from the perspective of m-commerce. Now, with that said, now, of course, with my research going into practical implications means that what I need to do at this stage and what I'm working on doing is working on coming up with a cell phone application that's going to try to tackle 90% of the 13 indicators that mentioned before. Those 13 indicators which I mentioned before, however, need to be connected to tools and measuring tools. I'm talking about measuring tools beyond BMI, like for example in the case of the illustration where you are having ultrasound connection, which is going to be connected to APIs. APIs are then going to directly be connected to cell phones. The question is, to what components of the cell phones? Earlier we had one of the speakers who was talking about electronic medical records. Now, for patients, they are having the same version of the electronic medical records, but called as personal medical records. Those personal medical records, a fragment of that you will also find, for example, on your CPR cards. You are going to, but of course, it's a portion of it. Personal health records is something you as a person can carry with you. There are reasons why there are integration and adoption problems of electronic health records per se in US electronic medical records. But what we have to understand is if you're having personal health records, your cell phone can actually connect itself using APIs to these tools which are in hospitals that can be used in the form of kiosk, just like we're going to the hospital and doing, for example, your weight and height check using BMI. Then your cell phone can be connected to your personal health record, and at the same time, the personal health record can be connected to, let's say, public virtual communities, and those virtual communities are going to analyze that data of that one individual, per se, all individuals globally, and do what the concept that we actually heard in our initial or previous presentation, talking about big data analysis, where that form of big data analysis is going to give you a more of a contribution to understand where the general public is making a mistake, where the general public is actually heading towards, where the general public needs to actually deviate to really understand how obesity should be tackled, because up till now, from the perspective of research, obesity is getting tackled from different perspectives, but those different perspectives have also not been integrated with one another. Now, with that, I reverse engineered. I earlier mentioned, for example, what kind of implications am I focusing on. So thank you very much again for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.